US President Joe Biden says the United States and its allies are standing united in the face of Russia's aggression toward Ukraine. In his first State of the Union address to lawmakers, Biden said the Ukrainians' fight was an inspiration to the world and that Russian President Vladimir Putin was now more isolated than ever. He pledged the US would defend its NATO allies, but again said that US forces would not get involved in the fighting. US analyst William Gluecroft is with me in the studio to break things down. William, you were watching the speech with me. It wasn't long before Biden turned his attention to Ukraine and very much addressing the room as the commander-in-chief.
Yeah, it was definitely the top line. It had to be, right? I mean, this is a huge war that's looking to upend European security, looking to upend a lot of the way we've known life to be for at least the last 30 years in the post-Cold War, if not the last 80 years since World War II. So this is a huge, huge issue that Joe Biden, of course, has to confront and has been confronting the last many weeks and months. And he had some tough talk to say to Vladimir Putin. I think we have a quick clip of him having a message to the Russian president.
Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how we would try to falsify and justify his aggression.
Joe Biden in his first State of the Union address, William, also announcing getting specific on the toughening of sanctions against Russia.
I think it's accurate to say he's the sanctions commander-in-chief. We should be careful. He's not commander-in-chief because America is not at war, and we need to be really careful with where we draw those lines, given the perilous state of affairs right now. But yes, sanctions are the go-to tool, really the only tool that the United States and its allies can have, short of military force, which it's not going to use directly, although it has made a lot of pledges to humanitarian aid, to military aid, including heavy weapons now. For a long time, there's the question of so-called defensive weapons. It's a bit of a murky definition of what a defensive weapon is versus a non-defensive weapon. But we're talking about real heavy weapons, getting them to Ukraine forces if they can get them there, given the real violent situation on the ground. And talking about closing airspace to Russian commercial aircraft over the United States, something that all of the EU has already done. I'm sure there's going to be a tit-for-tat with Russia probably closing its airspace to American airlines. The question is, how much will Russia suffer and how quickly, and how much blowback will there be on the U.S. and other allies? Because obviously there are economic partnerships here. There's financial partnerships here. The U.S. and the EU are banking on that they have enough money and enough cushion, enough support to be able to protect their consumers and their voters in ways that Russia can't. And we've already seen the ruble crash. We've seen the Moscow stock market or the Russian stock market close. We've seen runs on the banks and these kinds of things.
An important domestic topic for the president, how he's going to turn that, the issue of rising inflation in the US. How did Joe Biden go about reassuring the American public that while the economy is strong, the cost of living is going up?
Right. And Americans are not all convinced that the economy is strong, although there has been good economic data since Biden became president. Economy is just as much about how someone feels than any kind of factual, numerical data you can see on a piece of paper. And that's something that Biden really tried to push home because the economy is so important to winning elections and so important to his favorability rating, as it is for any president or any political leader, really. And inflation has been very difficult already before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Gas prices going up, food prices going up, these kinds of things really hitting the pocketbooks of average Americans. And Joe Biden has to assure Americans that whatever action they take against Russia, there will be a safety net there so Americans don't feel it. And I think we also have a clip of that, of something that Joe Biden was saying to his voters.
The panic also disrupted the global supply chain. Factories close. When that happens, it takes longer to make goods and get them to the warehouses, to the stores, and prices go up. Look at cars last year. 1/3 of all the inflation was because of automobile sales. There weren't enough semiconductors to make all the cars that people wanted to buy. And guess what? Prices of automobiles went way up, especially used vehicles as well. And so we have a choice. One way to fight inflation is to drive down wages and make Americans poorer. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages. And folks, that means make more cars and semiconductors in America, more infrastructure and innovation in America, more goods moving faster and cheaper in America, more jobs where you can earn a good living in America. Instead of relying on foreign supply chains, let's make it in America.
The words of the US President, William Gluecroft. There was a lot to digest. Thanks for guiding us through Joe Biden's first State of the Union address. Thank you.